Hey, what's going on? Our next guest has gone from the White House press room to the anchor chair at CNN. He's a two-time Emmy winner, a debate referee for some of the biggest political showdowns, now an author of a new book called Race Against Terror. Sometimes a true story to me can prove that real life can outdo any fiction. This is a wild story. Let's welcome in our friend Jake Tapper. What's going on, Jake? Good to see you, bud.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here. I appreciate it. And I totally agree. Like, if somebody had written this book as a novel, you might think it's far-fetched. You might think it's a little much, but this is all true.
Yeah, every journalist, I think, has these dreams, Jake, that a story's just going to find you. You'll be in the newsroom, maybe in the halls of the White House, maybe in a war zone at a paintball matchup. Is that where, is that where you found this story, at your kids' paintball action?
Yeah, 100%. It was 3 years ago this month. My 13-year-old boy, then 13-year-old boy Jack, wanted a paintball party, so we did it in the out in rural Virginia. And because it was so far away from DC, I had refreshments for the grown-ups so they could just stick around and enjoy the day, read a book or talk or whatever. One of the dads came up to me and started talking, and we were talking about how difficult it was to get well, he said he knew somebody from my book, The Outpost, about Afghanistan. And I said that book was tough to write because the Pentagon keeps such bad records and they're so reluctant to share them. And he said, tell me about it. And then he proceeds to tell me this, like, one of the greatest stories I'd ever heard in my life, which is he's an assistant U.S. attorney. He's a prosecutor. He gets a call from the Italians. They've picked up a guy who claims he's with al-Qaeda. He goes over to Italy. They hear the confession of this al-Qaeda operative. He claims he's killed Americans in Afghanistan, and he wants to kill more. He tried to blow up the U.S. embassy in Nigeria. And the Italians are like, great, take him. We don't want him. We can't hold him for much longer. But this guy, Dave Bitcower, the dad, they have to prove a case. They have to build a case. It's the Obama era. They're not bringing new customers into Gitmo. They have to try him in criminal court. And so it begins this race against the clock to build a case, to accumulate evidence, to do sleuthing and investigative work, to prove a case against this guy, that is to prove that his story is true. And if they don't do it soon, the Italians are basically going to let him free. And they know that this guy, who they believe is telling the truth, wants to kill as many Americans as possible. So they don't really have a choice. And it's just, he told me the story and I was like, this is incredible. Telling the story, but then they found this fingerprint, and then they found this terrorist, and then this counterterrorism file and that. And I couldn't even believe I was hearing the story. It read like a screenplay. And so I started writing it. And one of the things I tried to do is, because I've written a few novels now, I tried to take some of the lessons I've learned from writing novels and turn this nonfiction book into a compelling read. I feel like so often nonfiction reads like it's like homework assignments, and like I don't want that. I want a compelling story. So I tried to write it like a thriller, even though it's 100% true.
I know I read some of it. It's called Race Against Terror. I just got the book, so trying to get through it, but and very interesting details in here about the prosecutors chasing down the evidence and witnesses across continents. I'm thinking in this digital world, Jake, where I can FaceTime somebody in Tokyo like in 2 seconds. I'm curious, how is this such a challenge to work with other countries? It seems like it should be easy, especially when you have a bad guy in your custody.
Well, first of all, this was 2011, 2012, so the Zooming wasn't as easy. But second of all, a lot of these countries will not let you do these things remotely. They want you there, especially if you are making a request of the Nigerian government or the Italian government or any other foreign government. They want the United States to go there personally and do it. But also the activities that they're tracking down here to prove took place on the battlefield in Afghanistan in 2003. And in Nigeria in 2004, 2005. And a lot of the witnesses are terrorists. So it isn't as easy as Zooming. It's you have to like physically look at the photographs of what was picked up on the battlefield and then track down all those items. Where are they? Meeting with service members who'd served at Firebase Shkin, which was ambushed in 2003. Doing the interviews with them, going to their houses, and looking at what's on their computer. So a lot of it is really difficult gumshoe reporting that these investigators with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office had to do.
In the book, you also explore how Bush and Obama and how these administrations handle terrorism differently. In your view, which approach best balances justice and security, and how do these different administrations differ with how they handle this type of stuff?
Well, everybody I'm sure remembers, everybody of a certain age remembers that Bush initiated a whole bunch of new rules and regulations and terms for how to fight terrorism in terms of enhanced interrogation, or what others call torture, or extraordinary rendition, or what others call kidnapping, putting detainees, labeling them enemy combatants, putting them in on Guantanamo Bay. Like a lot of that's not happening anymore. And I think we've kind of settled into a consensus place where a lot of the Bush tactics aren't used anymore. But also, it's kind of accepted, I think, among national security professionals that the way Obama wanted to do things, everything in a criminal court, was also not feasible. And so we're kind of like in this no man's land of consensus approaches to counterterrorism. Spin Gould, the guy in my book, the Al Qaeda terrorist in my book, he's the only foreign terrorist ever tried in a U.S. court, criminal court, for killing service members abroad. It has never happened before. But Trump is now trying to do the second foreign terrorist tried like that, a guy named Jafar, who is part of the Abbey Gate bombing, allegedly. So I think we're kind of in a consensus view of how these things should be approached. And right now, the Spin Gould case is paving the way for this other terrorism case.
And it's very scary because reading your book, it seems like Spin Gould truly believed he's doing something noble. I mean, to me, is that the scariest part for you, that this guy believes he's doing something good and he's killing American servicemen? It's horrific.
They all zealots, all extremists think they're doing good. They all have this sense of grandiosity, whether it's the killer of Charlie Kirk or this Al Qaeda terrorist. They think they are these special ordained people to kill people, and they think that they're the good guys. And it is twisted and it is upsetting. And there doesn't seem to be any shortage of these people. But it was interesting writing this book, because Spin Gould told his whole story to the Italian courtroom in 2011. And then we as readers are able to see how he thinks and why he thinks that way. And it is scary, you're right.
We're talking with CNN's own Jake Tapper. His brand new book is called Race Against Terror. It's out now. Grab it wherever you get your reads. A real life thriller you're not going to want to put down. One thing I did not want to put the remote down when I was watching the 2015 debate, the 2024 debate with you and Dana Bash. You were back in the hot seat and they changed things up a little bit. No audience, mic's muted. Some folks say it helped. Others say it kind of killed the energy. Where do you stand? Do you think it's better TV, better for democracy? What do you think?
Well, I don't, those rules were set by executives, not by me. And I think that they wanted to avoid the disastrous debate that happened in 2020 that Chris Wallace moderated. It wasn't his fault per se, but there was just so much interrupting, mainly by Trump, but also by Biden. And it really just wasn't particularly constructive, I think, for the American people. And so I think that was the reason why the debate organizers decided no audience, mute the mics when people aren't speaking. It probably had the effect of making Trump seem more disciplined in that debate, June 2024, than he had in other debates. And it certainly, obviously, wasn't really the headline coming out of the debate. The headline was President Biden's inability to form coherent thoughts and sentences, which was really quite shocking as I witnessed it from 15 feet away. I'm sure just as shocking for you in watching at home.
It was sad, actually. I found myself sad and feeling bad for Joe Biden actually in that moment. But to wrap up, Jake, we're living in a time where everybody's got a mic, everybody's got a message, including me. And it's harder than ever for everybody to really tell what's real. And I know that you've built a great career on telling the truth. So could you give your message to the people who feel like journalism has kind of lost its way? And how do you stay grounded in the truth when at this point everybody's picking sides?
I think that one of the more hurtful things for democracy is people thinking that they can watch a 20-second clip on social media and that represents journalism. I think that there's a lot more to it. Anybody who thinks journalism has lost its way, I would invite them to watch my show on CNN. It's from 5 until 7 East Coast time, where we really try to talk to Republicans and Democrats and just get the news, and it's not ideologically driven. I understand why people think journalism has lost its way. I really do, and I think that there have been examples and times when journalists have made mistakes or caused problems. I also think that there are entire industries from the left wing and the right wing dedicated to saying, no, 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 I'm the truth teller and all these people are lying. And I would just say that people should just go to the source, read the newspaper, read the New York Times, read the Kansas City Star, read the Tampa Bay Tribune, whatever, watch CNN, watch ABC News, CBS News, get the news for themselves. Don't think that watching 30 seconds of summary on TikTok is the job. There's a lot of really good journalism being done out there without fear or favor for any party or any politician. And I think people should check it out for themselves.
I appreciate your time, Jake Tapper. Go get his new book. It is called Race Against Terror. Pick it up now, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever you buy your books. Thank you, Jake. I really appreciate your time, and we'll be watching you on CNN.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.